Hey there, this is Alexis Knight. Welcome to True Crime, the Court of Public Opinion. Today, though, here in this episode, we're going to revisit a case that's had people across the United States and beyond looking up at the skies in confusion, not at the courts. People are concerned. They're maybe even experiencing a little bit of fear. I'm talking about the mysterious drones, hundreds of them flying over military bases, rural areas, and restricted airspace. But it's all okay. There's no threat here. All right? Okay, now imagine this. You are living near a U.S. military base, and one night you see dozens of large drones silently hovering over the area. Silently. I mean, these are not small hobby drones. They don't look like something your neighbor could buy at a store or create, and you report it. But nothing happens. The next night, they are back and there's even more of them. And they're flying in formation. You turn on the news and a Pentagon official stands at a podium and says, I just don't know what these are. I only know what was in the press. That's right, people. It's all happening right here in the good old US of A. Your Pentagon, your great protectors. They're lying to you. They are lying by omission. So what can it be? And if later they decide to tell us, see guys, it was just this, are you really going to accept that after all of this? Okay, let's get back to our little imaginative story. You were on the news, remember? Watching the guy from the Pentagon say he didn't know anything unless he heard it from the press. Okay, so that's crazy. We have the United States government saying they don't know where these drones are coming from, who's flying them, or why they're even here or what they're doing. And yet we're supposed to believe everything's just fine. Well, here is what we know so far. All right, over the last, several years, reports of mysterious drones have surged in the United States. They've been spotted in Colorado, Nebraska, New Jersey. They're hovering over military bases now. These are not your average commercial drones that have been invading us, apparently from the ocean, then New Jersey, then everywhere. Military bases, nuclear sites, Mar-a-Lago. During a Pentagon press briefing just today, December 17th, 2024, a U.S. government official admitted on record these drones are not part of any U.S. military test or experiment. Let that sink in. Not that he knows of. Did we ask the right questions? Is it a part of U.S. military anything? That really should have been the question. But still, let that sink in. Is he trying to tell us the U.S. government doesn't own them? Even more ridiculous, this official said he's relying on the press to get his information. And we're accepting that, okay? Let's be real for a second. These are military bases, some of the most secure airspaces in the country. And we're supposed to take comfort in vague answers and shrugs from the officials that are supposed to be there to protect us and give us answers. Even the former president, our soon-to-be president, has chimed in, claiming the government knows exactly what these drones are. He has been briefed, by the way, and he says they are keeping the information hidden from us and choosing to keep things suspicious for some reason. Now, whether that is true or not, one thing is for sure. The silence from those in power is becoming deafening. What exactly is going on here? That's the question everyone's asking. Hundreds of drones, unidentified and unexplained, flying over the United States military bases, rural communities, and restricted zones. And the government's even talking about it. Hey, they're not supposed to be up there, guys. And this isn't a single isolated incident. This is happening everywhere. Widespread videos everywhere. Although I did notice that today, when I was asking about the drones earlier on chat, it gave me the exact same answer no matter how I asked it. And it even recognized that it didn't know why it was doing that. Very interesting. But all right. So, people have reported seeing strange drones at night and large formations and things flying low and fast. This has been happening for years. Not maybe at this, sheer number, but people have reported seeing things like this. And officials initially dismissed things, and even now they're hearing these reports and they initially dismiss them as what they usually are. They think hobbyist drones, commercial tests, things they feel they can just ignore. But when the reports started pouring in from military bases, things started to change. We're not talking about your neighbor testing out a drone for fun. These are large, advanced machines that can hover and maneuver and fly in formation without detection. And yet, when asked directly, government officials, the very people responsible for protecting our airspace, they can't give us an answer. At today's Pentagon briefing, the official flat out admitted, "I don't know what these are." And then he added that he's been relying on media reporting. Let me ask you something. If our military doesn't know who's flying drones or whatever objects over their own bases, what does that say? And why are they leaving it to the press to uncover? And do we even believe this? Here's the thing. You cannot tell me this is normal. Hundreds of unidentified objects and no answers. Even Donald J. Trump called it out, saying the government knows exactly what's going on, but is hiding it. He has been briefed, if you didn't know, and his words are, shoot one down. But let's pause here, because that raises a critical question. And if these drones aren't ours, then whose are they? Surveillance? Foreign powers? Private corporations? Or is there something bigger at play? And if our own officials can't or won't tell us the truth, then who can? And these answers of, I don't know what they are, why can't our officials just say, look, I can't tell you right now? Because we know that already, don't we? We know they know something. And if you think they really don't know, that cannot even be realistic. They know something about what's going on, if not everything about what is going on here. And they're leaving it to our imaginations to see if we can handle it, if we can take it. Maybe it's a threat and they don't want to tell us. Who knows? But it'd be a lot better if they just said, hey, we cannot tell you right now, but you're not in danger. I don't know. We know more about a tornado hundreds of miles away, but we can't figure out what these little objects are they're not that far above Earth. They're really not, but they're big, and it's unnerving to think about shooting one down in case it hurts someone or unleashes something. The whole thing is a mess. Okay, well, let's break this whole thing down. So just today, a Pentagon official stood there and said, to my knowledge, these drones are not part of any military experiment, etc. And then he goes on to say they've seen drones over military bases before, so there's nothing new here. Well, really? Hundreds of drones flying in formation over some of the most restricted airspace in the country, if not the world, and we're supposed to believe this is business as usual. They don't seem to be a threat. Let's just not get upset about this. And here's where it gets even more ridiculous. When pressed on what these drones might be doing, he gave us nothing. No answers. No theories. Just the same old, we'll take it seriously line that they've been feeding us for years. And then this is the kicker. He admits he's been getting information from the press. None of this is good enough, not for the American people. Because let's be clear, this isn't a couple of toy drones buzzing around someone's backyard. These machines are coordinated, they are organized, they are big enough to raise serious questions about who's behind them and what their purpose is. We've seen surveillance theories, foreign powers testing our airspace, even private corporations running covert operations. Maybe it's us looking for something very dangerous. That's another theory. What if we find it? What if we don't? let's be real here. If these drones are nothing, if they are drones, I love that word, now replacing the unidentified object. How many definitions have we changed in 2024? It'd be great if someone, actually in the last about 4 or 5 years, could tell me. That'd be awesome. We should just have a book on that. Maybe you could sell it on Amazon because it would sell and people need it. So there you go. But here is something to consider. The government says there are over 1 million registered drones in the United States, but these do not belong to civilians, not even close. So are we dealing with a threat they don't want to tell us? Or is this a failure to control our own airspace at a level we've never seen before? I mean, either way, one thing is clear. Americans deserve answers, and right now, we're getting silence, and silence is not good enough. Let's look about what we've actually seen so far. What's been reported, sent in, the videos, etc. Because the videos and the firsthand accounts, they tell a story, well, the Pentagon doesn't tell, and that the Pentagon doesn't even seem to want to acknowledge. Here is what the people have reported. White lights that hover. These look like really bright stars. They're completely still. They're just sitting there for days at a time in one spot, more than one of them in the sky at a time. They move very slowly or don't move at all, and then one day you get up, they're just gone. White lights with smaller colored lights rotating around them. Now, these don't look like anything we're used to seeing in the skies. Anyone have a drone that does this? We know they're not planes, they're not helicopters. They're nothing we know. So what are those? And then, of course, the ones we're seeing the most of, the little things that look like little planes or little drones, if you don't look too closely. I mean, from a distance, they might pass as regular aircraft even because they have these flashing patterns with their lights. But here's the thing. They're flying lower. They make no sound. And people can see them because they're close enough to the ground. They see them enough to know how big they are. So somewhere around the size of a car or bus, like a Suburban, something like that. Now, the government wants us to believe that just these 3 things here that we can't explain are harmless, but they can't tell us what they are. There's nothing to see here, they say. But how do they explain hundreds of reports from different states, all describing the same types of drones and static lights, slow, methodical movement, patterns of flight that look like deliberate surveillance? This is not random, and the people seeing this are not stupid. We've seen the videos. You've seen them. Clips of dozens of lights floating across the night sky like something out of a science fiction movie. Some move in perfect sync. Formations you'd expect to see from military-grade equipment. Not something you can buy at a hobby shop or build in your garage, all of those, to work for that long in all of those states. And here's the other kicker. There's no sound. Not even the hum. Drones hum. Not the roar of an aircraft. There's nothing. It's silence, and it's eerie, and it's unsettling, and it's happening all over the country. And it's happening outside of the U.S., you guys. If you didn't know that, it's happening across the globe. Is someone doing that from their garage? That's pretty amazing. And so the question becomes, if these drones are not civilian, because let's face it, nobody's neighbor's flying these, and if your neighbor is, why haven't you told someone? Okay? Why hasn't anyone told anyone? It's ridiculous. They're not part of any U.S. project. Well, we've been told that. So then what are they? Are they foreign? We haven't been told that. All I know I heard on one of these videos here is Donald Trump saying that, are they our enemy? They could be. I don't think so, though. So that tells me they're not, but he's not allowed to tell us what they are. Are they private tech that we don't know about? I mean, we're talking major advancements. I guess the military is very good at keeping secrets beyond anything we can know, which is good, but this is bad. Or is it something else entirely? And that's what everyone wants to know. The government says don't worry. But how can you not worry when you're watching dozens of strange lights hovering over a military base or maybe your own backyard. Things you can't explain, no one can help you. It's large, there are many, it's silent, eerie, and frightening. And people are not imagining this, they are documenting it, and yet the official response remains the same. There is nothing to see here. Let me ask you something. When did we stop trusting what we can see with our own eyes? Are you out there letting someone tell you you did not see what you saw? Because the people filming these drones, they know what they're seeing. And if the Pentagon doesn't know what's going on, then who does? And if the Pentagon doesn't want to tell us, it's either maybe because they're embarrassed. Have they lost their equipment? Is it just flying around the world randomly? Or is it their equipment doing something on purpose? Like looking for something dangerous, something threatening? It sure would be nice to know. Okay, let's maybe shift here and go over what exactly has been reported here, so that if you don't know, what is the bigger picture here? I can't give you everything, but let's get a bigger picture of the widespread drone sightings, at least across the United States, because this is global, guys. But let's start here in the United States. Since mid-November of this year, 2024, we know numerous reports of mysterious drone sightings. They've emerged across various states, and it's caused a lot of concern and speculation. All right, we have the northeastern states, New Jersey. Residents have reported large drones flying over suburban areas. And remember, I'm using the word drone here because that's just what's been chosen, but this is not, we don't know this is a drone. This is an unidentified object. But we're using drone because that's just what we're calling it, I guess. So these large drones have been flying over suburban areas, including areas that are sensitive, like President-elect Donald Trump's golf course in Bedminster. The drones are described as having white lights, colored lights revolving around them, often hovering silently before moving suddenly or moving in coordinated patterns. Then you have New York. Similar sightings have been reported in areas like Brooklyn and Staten Island, with witnesses observing multiple drones near landmarks, like the Verrazano Narrows Bridge. These drones exhibit behaviors like remaining static before moving rapidly. And this all raises questions about their origin, their purpose, their capabilities. In Pennsylvania, reports indicate sightings of drones over various regions, contributing to the growing concern in the northeastern states. Then you also have the western and central states. If you didn't know, back in 2019 and 2020, prior to these recent northeastern sightings, residents in rural Colorado and Nebraska reported large drones flying in a grid-like pattern at night. And these drones were often described as having white lights and moving slowly in coordinated formations. Despite investigations, there are no explanations. We have law enforcement observations that are in this mix as well. So we have the current, we have things that have happened before that people might not know about, and then law enforcement is involved if you weren't aware. The New Jersey Sheriff's Department, they have made themselves known. In Ocean County, Sheriff Michael Mastronardi deployed a drone to investigate the mysterious aerial vehicles, but found that the unidentified drones evaded capture easily. Additionally, the U.S. Coast Guard reported spotting drones with 8-foot wingspans following one of their vessels, further deepening the mystery. Now, we have the government and military responses also, so this takes it to a bigger level, a bigger scale. The Pentagon. The U.S. Department of Defense officials have stated to their knowledge that these drones are not a part of, well, what they've been asked for. And I want to point that out because they were asked specifically about experiments or certain projects and testing in areas, and they said no to those. But those questions were also specific. No one said, are these drones a part of military anything? And I find that interesting. So the answer was no. They do acknowledge the sightings, but have not provided any detailed explanations. And this also leads to public frustration. You have federal investigations, supposedly. Agencies, including the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security, they say they're investigating the sightings. However, they have indicated that many reports they may involve misidentified manned aircraft or lawful drone activities. You know, we all have drones these days. And they have found no evidence suggesting these drones pose any kind of threat, even though they can't tell us what they really are. So the public, of course, is concerned. The lack of concrete information has led to various theories, including potential foreign surveillance or undisclosed government operations. Notably, as I said, President-elect Trump has suggested that the government knows more than it is disclosing and has called for the drones, at least one, to be shot down. Again, President-elect Trump has been briefed on the situation and has confirmed our military knows all about it. And all right, so now that we know, what people have seen, let's talk about the theories. Because where the government has given us silence, or worse, shrugged shoulders, the public has stepped in to connect the dots. And I want to make it clear, these are not official explanations I'm about to give you. These are theories. But I want you to know the main theories that are floating around from people like you and me, or from independent experts who are trying to make sense of this when our government is failing to explain. So let's review the 5 most talked about possibilities. Theory 1, foreign surveillance. This is a big one. If these drones aren't ours, could they belong to a foreign power? Countries like China or Russia are often floated as potential culprits. Surveillance over military bases would make sense if a foreign nation wanted to test our defenses, gather intelligence, or show off their capabilities without crossing into direct conflict. Reports have emerged of drones flying in grid-like patterns and over restricted zones, moving consistent with surveillance missions. Some independent analysts believe that advanced drone technology from adversarial nations may be capable of bypassing traditional detection systems, leaving U.S. officials in the dark. But here's the issue. If this is a foreign operation, why hasn't the U.S. government been more aggressive in addressing it, or at least partially admitting that to us? But they don't, and they say nothing. All right, theory number 2, corporate or private testing. Some argue that these drones are part of a private testing program, or a few large companies or defense contractors experimenting with advanced technology. Think companies like Amazon or Lockheed Martin, who have the resources and reason to develop drones capable of operating at this scale. For example, Amazon has been vocal about testing its drone delivery programs, and defense contractors have been pushing the boundaries of drone capabilities for years. It's possible these drones are part of an undisclosed project, or a few, flying in ways that aren't technologically illegal but are deeply unsettling to the public. If this is true, it raises another question. Why would you be testing over military bases and residential areas? Something to consider. How about theory number 3, advanced military technology? Classified projects. Well, let's face it, governments often deny involvement until they're ready to declassify new technology. And some people believe these drones do belong to the United States military and that they are part of highly classified programs. Testing stealth surveillance drones or swarm technology over isolated areas and military bases then would not be unheard of. In fact, leaked military reports have shown that drone swarm technology is a real focus for the Pentagon and other defense agencies. The problem? Officials will not come out and claim if they are theirs, but we sure get a lot of no's, don't we? That they're not theirs. I'll get to that in a minute, but let me just finish up here with our theories. I want to get to number 4, mass surveillance of citizens, because that one's going around and people are uncomfortable with this. This theory has grown in popularity. because surveillance technology is already more pervasive. And so what is this? People are wondering. They're questioning whether these drones are part of a domestic surveillance operation, whether government-backed, corporate-run, or even private sector projects. The idea is that these drones are quietly gathering data. Surveillance drones could be testing face recognition software, movement tracking, or environmental scanning, all of which raises serious privacy concerns. And some skeptics argue that military silence could be intentional, keeping the public uninformed while these systems are tested or while they're doing whatever they're doing. But here's the catch. If it is a surveillance program, let's say, who is behind it? Is it us? Why? Is it not us? Who is it? And what are they collecting? All right, and then of course we have theory number 5. These are something we just cannot explain. Are these drones something we can't explain? Maybe they're a technology far beyond what we know, something not man-made. Witness accounts often describe behavior that doesn't match current drone capabilities. The silent hovering, the impossible speeds, and synchronized formations that look deliberate and intelligent. Are we that good here on Earth? For some, this points to advanced technology that does not belong to us. That no, we're not that good, so this has to be someone else. Now, I'm not saying this is aliens, but I'm also not saying it's not aliens. All I know this. People are seeing things that cannot be explained, and for some reason, we're using the word drone for an unexplained object when we've been describing unexplained objects for a very, very long time. So why the change? Why did the reports come out calling them drones and they're just sticking to drones, even though they really know they're not drones? The government statements regarding the ownership of these mysterious objects are around the fact that they assume that they are drones, maybe they're people's drones. You know, let's get into actually some of the government statements on drone ownership, okay? Because let's hear what they're saying about all of that. Let's make sure we know and recognize, because they've denied foreign involvement. Pentagon officials have addressed specific claims about foreign entities operating these drones. For instance, when questioned about the possibility of an Iranian mothership launching drones off the east coast of the U.S., Pentagon spokesperson Sabrina Singh stated, "There is no Iranian ship off the coast of the United States. There is no so-called mothership launching drones toward the U.S." Okay, now how about non-military operations? Well, in response to inquiries about whether these drones are part of U.S. military operations, officials have indicated that the drones are not military operated. For example, a Pentagon spokesperson clarified that the drones are not military operated and noted that current law restricts the military's ability to detect and track drones within the U.S. unless there is a clear threat. All right, but they've also avoided any blanket statements that this is not the military's doing. Okay, it's very important to note that while officials have denied specific foreign or military involvement through the very specific questions they're being asked, there has not been a comprehensive statement addressing all potential sources of these drones. The responses are often confined to the context of the questions posed, leading to a lack of a definitive blanket denial regarding the ownership or origin of the drones. If someone said, "Are these drones the United States military? Do these drones belong to the United States?" We can't get an answer there. But if we ask a specific question, "Are these drones part of the U.S. airspace in this city of New Jersey?" The answer is no. So just make sure you know what you're watching. And, the Pentagon says just, check the press and you'll know everything that's going on. But we know that's just not quite true. This piecemeal approach to giving us answers, it's understandably led to public confusion and speculation, frustration, even anger. Without a clear and comprehensive explanation, various theories have emerged, ranging from foreign surveillance to private operations, even more unconventional ideas. I mean, in summary here, while the government has denied certain specific involvements, like foreign adversaries or U.S. military ops, there has not been an all-encompassing statement clarifying the origin of these drones. And this selective communication contributes to the ongoing uncertainty and concern among the public. All right, guys, here is where we land today. We've laid out the reports, the evidence, and the most talked about theories. I've gone over what people have seen, and not just in one state, not just in one region, but across the entire country, even the world. And what have we heard from the powers that be? Confusion, evasion, non-answers. The government has denied specific ownership, but notice what they haven't said. There's been no clear blanket statement to tell us what these drones are or where they come from. Instead, we're told to trust fragmented answers that feel incomplete or at best like a deliberate misdirection at worst. And here's what you need to remember. When you only have part of the story, you don't have the truth. Okay, so don't think you do, because that's how information is controlled. You are handed little pieces here and there, just enough to calm you down, but never enough to let you see the full picture. So don't fall for that. Don't take one report, one press briefing, or one headline as fact for this entire story, or any story really. The truth is bigger than that. You have to look at everything and put the pieces together yourself. Compare what's being said to what you can see with your own eyes, because the people filming these drones and reporting these sightings, they know what they have seen, and so do you. Whatever's happening here, it's bigger than a simple misunderstanding. We don't have all the answers yet, but we know enough to ask the right questions. So keep watching, keep questioning, and don't ever settle for the official story if it doesn't add up. Who said it's official anyway? The news? Oh, it was the press. That's what the Pentagon follows. Thank you for joining me in True Crime, the Court of Public Opinion, and other things. Stay safe out there, guys. Ask the difficult questions and always dig for the truth. And until next time, this is Alexis Knight.